Hey everyone, I did a post this morning about how Ethereum, the smart contract platform that also uses cryptography, which is why it gets compared to Bitcoin sometimes, why Ethereum is down so much as compared to Bitcoin. So as measured in Bitcoin terms, Ethereum is down between 30 and 40% so far just this year. And it is down more than 50% as compared to the highs of 2021 and 2022 for Ethereum, again, as measured in Bitcoin terms. So what that means is for everyone who has bought Ethereum, had they bought Bitcoin instead, they would be up somewhere between 50% and 100% as compared to where they actually are sitting in Ethereum. Okay, so why is that? So I've covered Ethereum, what it is before, so I'm going to not do a long video here. I'm going to try to do a short one. But the short take is they are for very different things. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, an actual cryptocurrency that's intended to store value, be used as a medium of exchange, unit of account, all of those things. Ethereum is not. Ethereum is a smart contract platform that's intended for decentralized finance. Now, sometimes you'll hear people say, well, I bought Ethereum because you can do more with it. Well, I can do more with my car than I can with Bitcoin because my car drives me around and stuff like that. But my car is not trying to be money. Almost everything does more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin just happens to do the one thing that's super, super, super important, which is serve as money. So same with the US dollar. Somebody could say, well, that piece of paper can hardly do anything. And it's like, yeah, but this piece of paper can buy you stuff. So the same is true, again, of Bitcoin. Bitcoin does one thing, but it does it very, very, very well. And that thing can be used to purchase any other thing. So you can get anything you want with Bitcoin. So Ethereum is a smart contract platform for decentralized finance. And the problem is it's competing with thousands of other smart contract platforms that are also trying to do the same thing. And it's a classic battle of which technology is better. And so the problem Ethereum has, which Bitcoin does not have, is it's like the Betamax versus VHS wars back in the either 80s or 90s, or Blu-ray versus, whatever, or the, Netflix versus, streaming services. Or I guess the better example would be MySpace versus Facebook, or AltaVista versus Yahoo versus Google. The short take is there's just no guarantee that Ethereum is going to be the winning smart contract platform. And there's a lot of compelling arguments that it won't be the winning smart contract platform. So even though Ethereum got approved as a result purely of political pressure, even though Ethereum got approved for an ETF, an exchange traded fund, back a few months ago, and it has been actively trading, you can buy an Ethereum ETF just like you can buy a Bitcoin ETF now. The responses have been completely different. The response to the Bitcoin ETF was it was the best performing ETF in the entire history of exchange traded funds, ETFs. The response from the Ethereum ETF is everybody scratching their head saying, why would I buy this? And how does it, what's the value proposition? And which makes perfect sense because a smart contract platform was intended to be used to, for decentralized finance. It was not intended to be fractionalized in an exchange traded fund and then traded or stored that way. So the value proposition of Bitcoin makes perfect sense because with an exchange traded fund, if you buy a share of the Fidelity exchange traded fund, FBTC, or BlackRock's exchange traded fund, IBIT, if you buy one of those, they turn around and use the exact same money to buy Bitcoin. And however much money you have in one of those stocks, even though they're an ETF, they trade like stocks, however much money you have represents that amount of money as compared to the value of the entire Bitcoin network, all 21 million Bitcoins. That is not the same for Ethereum. When you buy a share in an Ethereum ETF, they do buy Ethereum with it, but you don't know how much Ethereum there is. Nobody knows at any given time how much Ethereum there is in the world or how much there will be in the future. And unlike Bitcoin, where we don't know who invented it and it is completely decentralized and run all over the world, we know who invented Ethereum. Vitalik Buterin invented Ethereum, and it is run by the Ethereum Foundation, which is a real physical place in the real world that the government can show up to and shut down. Now, they can't shut down the Ethereum network, but they can coerce the people who control it or have a high degree of control over it to do certain things. So Ethereum just does not have any certainty around its the parameters of how much will they be, how much will there be, where, what is, how is it governed, all of that sort of stuff. And in addition, Bitcoin uses something called proof of work as the mechanism where it keeps the network all synchronized, which is much, infinitely more secure than what Ethereum uses, which is called proof of stake. Now, Ethereum used to use proof of work, and they switched to proof of stake for a variety of reasons. But the problem with proof of stake is basically whoever owns the most Ethereum has a bigger role in making the rules and determining what is truth. And I don't ever want to own an asset where someone else controls the rules. In the case of Bitcoin, nobody controls the rules. In short, all of us control the rules. And in Ethereum, whoever owns the most of it gets to decide what the official record of truth is. Also, if there's some reason that the entire world goes down and all the electricity turns off for, hours or days, and then it all comes back on, it's super easy for Bitcoin to pick up right where it left off. Everybody agrees in the world of Bitcoin what the definition of truth is and where to restart the blockchain. Of course, it would keep running on satellites, so technically Bitcoin would just keep going. Even if the Earth did not have electricity, Bitcoin runs on satellites, and so it would just keep going regardless. But Ethereum has a big problem in that situation where if the network goes offline and then comes back on, who gets to decide where the Ethereum network picks up? And the answer is whoever owns the most Ethereum. And they may decide that the version of truth of the network is different than what is beneficial for you. And again, Bitcoin just doesn't have that problem. In Bitcoin, you could, the Earth could cease to exist and, turn back on 1,000 years later, and Bitcoin would just pick right back up where it left off, because that's the way the proof of work works. Versus Ethereum, you'd have to spend a long time trying to figure out whose version of truth are we going to agree is the starting point when we turn this thing back on, which is a massive, huge problem. Okay, so for all those reasons, people on Wall Street have mostly shied away from the Ethereum ETFs and Ethereum in general and been much more embracing of Bitcoin, which makes perfect sense because that's exactly what they should do. And it's exactly what I've done. Once upon a time, I did own some Ethereum. I sold all of it. I owned it. I bought some probably in 2018 and 2019 just to sort of mess around with. It performed well back then, much better back then than now. And back in 2021, I came to the same conclusions that I have come to now. So somewhere between, 3.5 years ago, I sold all of the Ethereum and converted it to Bitcoin. Literally, I went in Coinbase and I was using Gemini a little bit at the time, and I said, convert all. And I converted 100% of the Ethereum into Bitcoin. So I have not owned any Ethereum since 2021, and I'm glad because Bitcoin has far outperformed Ethereum, and it has outperformed Ethereum for all of the reasons that I said it would. So in addition to this video, I will repost some of my best posts about Ethereum. You don't hear Ethereum a whole lot these days because it's been performing so poorly compared to Bitcoin, but people still bring it up from time to time, and I figure it's as good a time as any to sort of resurface some of my best Ethereum content, which is basically a video and I think a long form post. It's only a few assets, but I will resurface some of those from the past and just try to make it, so all the Ethereum content is in one place. So anyway, so what does this mean? Absolutely buy Bitcoin. If you have Ethereum, again, if it were me, I would convert it all to Bitcoin right now, just because I think the investment case for Ethereum is only getting weaker with time. In my opinion, it is not getting stronger, it is getting weaker. Now, that does not mean it might, the price might not take off for some reason. The price of anything, including completely worthless meme coins, can take off in the short term, for short periods of time. But that is not an investment thesis. I would never invest in something because I thought it was going to temporarily go up before it crashes to zero. I would never invest in anything that I didn't think long term was going to be extremely valuable. You don't ever want to try to time I think it's going to go up before it goes down, because you will always end up timing it wrong and it will go down. So I would never invest in Ethereum, regardless of whether I thought it might go up in the near term. And when Bitcoin tends to go up, Ethereum tends to get dragged along with it to some degree, just because the cryptocurrency or the crypto industry tends to go up and down a little bit together. But I think in the long term, there's a compelling case that Ethereum trends towards zero and that other smart contract platforms trend towards zero as well, because everybody's trying to use whichever one's cheaper. And whichever one's cheaper is going to be the one everybody uses. So bottom line is, again, not financial advice, but if I owned any Ethereum, which I do not and have not since 2021, but if I did, I would convert it all to Bitcoin right now. And if you're looking to say, hey, I got Bitcoin, but what else can I buy in crypto? My answer is nothing. There is, in my opinion, nothing else worth owning in the crypto sector other than the real and honest Bitcoin, which represents the vast majority of the market anyway, and I think is trending toward infinity, while everything else in crypto is trending toward zero. So hopefully that helps, and I will repost some of the content about Ethereum just so it's some of it's all in one place. Have a great